What's up, everybody? It's Josh coming to you with another episode of the Affiliate Marketing Show. Please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest affiliate marketing news, tips, and trends. Once again, Josh from OfferVault.com, the industry's largest aggregator of all things affiliate marketing. We also have Mr. Paper Call, Adam Young, as well as the industry legend Harrison Gevirtz, and our very special returning guest. I'm going to make sure I say the name correctly this time. Yancy, with a Y, Naughton, founder of HasTraffic, a family of brands including HasTraffic, WantTraffic, CPC, Email Exchange, and HasSocial, providing their users with the best place to trade email, SMS, domain, pop, search, redirect, push notifications, social, and more. What is up, Yancy? How are we doing today?
Of course, more. That's an old bio. More is calls, calls, calls. But I'm sure someone's going to get to that.
Yeah, I ripped that from the website, so you're
Yeah,
welcome. I got you.
yeah.
It's a pleasure to have you back. I know you're joining us from Prague once again, so thanks for staying up late to do this with us. Um, we were just talking before the show about Microsoft Teams and Skype shutting down and Telegram, and it's interesting. I feel like there's a real divide, but Telegram seems to be winning the race a bit. I know Telegram was super prevalent in Europe before any of this was happening, and honestly, I just kind of like the whole presentation and what it has to offer compared to Teams. I'm curious, like, what's your take on it? Where do you think the industry is going to end up as a whole, or do you think it's going to be like you need to have a Teams window open and a Telegram window open just to make sure you're catching everything that's coming in?
Yeah, it's interesting and timely right now because right now everybody's hitting me up on many different devices. Many different apps and sometimes on the same device. They're fighting over my phone. It's really kind of annoying. But yeah, I
Right.
had been we as a company had seen a lot of cracks in the Skype, and it hadn't been performing well, and it was hard to find the messages, and you didn't know where they were. So we had been trying to get people off of Skype for a long time because it wasn't really compatible with our business model. We had used Telegram. And obviously, and people just kept pulling us back to Skype. We'll see how this plays out. But I think Telegram, from a quantity perspective, most people are moving to Telegram. But I know just from being a broad a traffic platform, all different kinds of channels, the I'd be interested to see where the LeadsCon people end up. I do believe they're going to stay with Teams because they stuck with Skype regardless of how bad it was, and maybe
I'm on
Google Meet. A
Teams, and
lot of that.
Yancy, I've had to employ multiple therapists that I call at the end of every workday to essentially just cry and ponder how bad life is with meets because it sucks so bad. It's horrible.
Mm,
Uh, yeah,
Meets and Teams, I think.
yeah.
Well, that's interesting because Meet and Teams represent two of the biggest monopolies in the world, right? So I've always kind of put my trading platform out there as an alternative to monopolies. So yeah, maybe Telegram is going to even get bigger and be more powerful than all these other guys. You never know, but yeah, Teams and Meet are definitely frustrating the heck out of me. Skype, actually, to be honest, Telegram this week is kind of crappy too because everybody's switching to it. So I'm not sure they're ready for all this capacity.
Do you
Yeah,
guys
no, it's not great.
do you
It's
guys get random women hitting you up on Telegram like
No,
every
no,
day?
everyone's so
Dude,
my favorite thing now that
I
I
get,
get is
hey,
like,
hey
"Hey, when are we going to
Frank.
coffee?"
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a great intro. Or have you gotten the voice memos where it's just like hey, how you doing?
I
Sometimes
think,
I'm bored and I'm just like, where's this gonna go? But they just keep going and I'm like, all right, I gotta stop.
well, I think we know these aren't real people, but
Yeah.
they're obviously part of the same thing that, same tools that we use to engage customers. So let's give them pass. But no, I don't. When I first joined Telegram, it was all over, and I just kept blocking it. And there must be an algorithm that keeps that away because it's gotten way, way better. In fact, I haven't gotten one of those in 6 or 8 months, probably.
Yeah, I didn't realize this. Apparently, Telegram has like this reputation for being a shady platform because of like how well
I
it's
don't like it.
encrypted.
I know it's popular. I'm sorry, everyone. I hate it.
What do you hate
I don't
about
like
it?
it.
Just the layout
Well, I
or
get a ton of spam. So
yeah.
I have two phones. My other one's charging, but I have two phones. And my other phone is like the one I first set up a Telegram on like 15 years ago for something. And I made a username. And my username, I'm gonna say it because I literally don't use it, is click_click_click. And I get hundreds of thousands of spam messages, and these spam messages are for cricket gambling groups. And so the messages are like I get thousands. If my phone wasn't literally dead in the other room, I would bring it and show. It's like wild. So I gave up on it. I just don't use it. I have another phone. I use that. Some people have it, but Skype was the best. I'm honestly sad. So now I'm going to carrier pigeon or Telegram, like old-fashioned Telegram exclusively, not the app.
Yeah.
So
I hear
Don't do the
that.
Skype update. I made the mistake of saying like I was like, "Oh, Skype update." I did it and all it was you need to use Teams now. Like you can't use Skype anymore. So if you can still use Skype and you're watching this, don't do the update if you want to keep using Skype.
Yeah, Harrison, you might try smoke signals. I think they've been kind of stood the test of time. You might try those.
I like that actually. I mean, I'm gonna
I
visit
hear
that.
they're coming back at the end of the conclave, that's for sure.
So I want to
I like
dive
it.
into the good stuff here with HasTraffic. I know this is kind of a loaded bird's eye view question, but when you were, creating HasTraffic, was there like a problem in the industry you were trying to solve, or were you just like, man, all these, platforms don't know what they're doing, I could do it better, or was there just like a lack of platforms doing what you were looking to find?
Well, I would say it started a couple years earlier with elephant traffic. And I think that what they were doing, which I did not start elephant traffic, but I more or less was participating in the launching of it. And Adam was actually one of our first clients that was was successful on it. That was trying to solve the problem of Google. Basically, what they were doing with domain traffic was they just kept keeping more of it for themselves. So it was sold on an auction, but it wasn't sold on a transparent auction. So what the founders of Elephant Traffic were trying to do is to give the publishers, which were the domain holders, a better option for the auction. And Zero Park after that was basically, I think I was much more involved in the concept there, and that was basically let's take that proof of concept that was kind of small to the domain world and brought it into all sorts of channels of traffic. When I finally got the keys to HasTraffic, I was solving these problems. So the Google problem, the traffic, the dark auction of traffic problem, and then to me it was like the margin problem. So uh not talking against anyone else, but the transparency of when you buying a Picasso or an ounce of gold or a bushel of corn or whatever it is, you know the last trading price. The buyer knows the last trading price. The seller knows the last trading price. So they have some idea of what they are looking for. And I felt that was what was missing from the marketplace. So even on a traditional CPA network, it's like send me your traffic, I'll tell you what it's worth, or maybe I'll give you a price per lead or this, that, the other thing. But if the concept was if I could commoditize something and make it consistently worth the same, something around the same amount of money and have a consistent quality, like an ounce of gold, like a barrel of oil, um, then I could show the last trade price, and the consumers could, the advertisers could basically have an idea of what they needed to do to get the redirect of the visitor. And then the publishers, from their standpoint, it was like, it was really good for them at the time because they did not have to give their traffic to a mysterious business model like CPC. You know, CPC was basically the meeting point where, hey, the publisher wants to get sales, the publisher wants to get CPMs and the advertiser wants to get sales. Instead of trying to force your model on each other, let's just meet in the middle on a CPC. So Google, of course, and Facebook, of course, were CPC auctions, but they weren't transparent in the way that you knew what the last trading price was. You knew that you were allowed to buy it. You know, those are the basic problems that we were trying to solve at the time. And like you said, it wasn't like there were a bunch of other ones around there. Like I figured we would grab a lot of market share, and within 2 or 3 years, the big players in the market would move away from CPL or CPC and move to CPC, and then I would have a fight on my hands. But I'm, 16 years in, no one's really trying to compete on CPC. They're really trying to stick to their preferred metrics.
Harrison, I assume when you guys were, similar question to you, when you guys were starting Ringba, I don't know, my gut tells me you guys looked around the industry and you said, we can do this better when it comes to call tracking. Does that kind of sum up like why you guys created Ringba? Or was there a real like passion just to do call tracking, or both?
I think that it was a bit of both. I think we were looking, we had some other businesses. I've told the story before, we were, as I like to say, spinning plates, affiliate campaigns, buying traffic, Yancy and Zero Park, and I can think of so many networks that like don't even track Vance and like something Impact. I don't even remember. There were so many good ones like that don't even exist anymore. I just got like a little bit of memory lane there, but and then we had a big, very profitable business go to zero overnight, and we were a little bit confused, like, what do we do? We were lost for a little bit. And then we kind of realized it's time to build some shit and not like fuck around being, an affiliate, like burning something into the ground, making money and going, on to the next thing. And I essentially, Adam and I were like, let's figure this out. And we kind of looked in the industry, and at the time, pay-per-call was a much smaller chunk, market share of like the affiliate marketing kind of world that we lived in. But we saw a huge flaw. A friend of ours called us, and we were at a show, and he showed us what he was doing and how he literally couldn't optimize anything. And we were like, that is odd. Like, why can't you do this? And that's kind of where the idea was, sprouted. But I think it was a bit of both. We saw an opportunity space that had a ton of potential, and the tools out there were, opinion and so that's where we came in. I would say the passion was developed once we kind of vision, if that makes sense. Like we always enter something passionately, like we're always we're passionate about everything we do, but we're learning. So we could have started exploring this and been like, oh no, there's no opportunity here, but we had to figure it out. We're reminded.
Did you have a call tracking platform that you were using that was frustrating you?
I will say that I used some platforms, and there were features we saw that we were confused. Like there were some I've used some tools, and then again, not only maybe frustrated, but other ways that did.
Harrison, I don't know if you could hear me, but your internet is real questionable right now. I know you're a big Starlink fan, but it's not
right now.
It's not coming through right now. It was working out for a while.
Guys, it switched to the other network. Holy shit.
There you go. You got doged. Your internet
I
got
just got
Wow.
doged.
doged by Cox.
All
Cox
right.
just doged me.
Okay,
Okay.
you're
So
back.
as I
You're
was
back.
saying,
Start over from the beginning, please.
So
holy shit. What's the last thing you
Did
heard?
you have a
yep.
call tracking platform you were not happy with, and then you said, "Well," and then you
Not
kind of
exactly. No, I would say we mostly just saw like a future for this industry that would be very profitable and promote tremendous growth to pay per call by, I guess you could say, doing things a little bit differently in how you track, um, etc. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Yancy, do you remember like any like big aha moments where like you were in the beginning phases of putting has traffic together and you were like, I think I'm on to something here, or did it all kind of happen like just as it should, one step at a time?
Well, so Robert, who basically we launched Zero Park together, he decided we weren't going to cooperate anymore. And the next day is when I started it. And yeah, I guess there was an aha moment, like the naming of it. I had just come from Zero Park, which I don't know if you know what Zero Park refers to, but zero is not a particularly good marketing term, and parking is not something that they even do. So it's like I tried desperately. It was a Polish domain parking company when I joined Robert, and I said, Robert and I worked at Elephant Traffic, and I said, we got to change the name. He's like, I already, this true story. He said, I already made the logo. I said, you made the logo on Fiverr. He's like, yeah, but it's already done. So that's why we didn't. So anyway, back to the aha moment. I was suddenly had an open schedule again. And I said, Robert, you know what I'm doing tomorrow, right? And he's like, yeah. So I had to name it, right? So the aha moment there was I just elephant traffic. There's no elephants involved in elephant traffic. So I would go to the conference and speak to someone for 20 minutes about domain traffic, and then they'd still be thinking about elephants. And then Zero Park, I was flying around the world with just like little business cards and and trying to explain it. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I said, I want someone to just see the name of the company and know what it is. Like I'm tired of going into these esoteric conversations. So I literally woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and hopped on the computer. WantsTraffic.com was available, registered it, has traffic. Because I thought, well, okay, that's why there were two names. Like I wanted the publishers on one side and the advertisers on the other. And I wanted, like, if you look at the logo, I wanted them to combine and look like I was the meeting point between the 2 points. So we started with some domains and some international redirects and things like that. The real aha money moment came when I saw all the money flying around the room, and I said, no one is telling the truth. No one is lifting their kimonos. So the real aha moment was when I got a taste of email traffic and I saw what the power of that was. And I thought, okay, so it's not about domains. It's not about remnant traffic or international redirect traffic. This is a machine that you could apply to any successful traffic, whether it's a phone call, whether it's installs, whatever it is. And if you can add more value than you take in margin, then then you still have a business 16 years later or what have you. And that was really what the aha moment was for Has Traffic. So
So,
email went down, SMS went up, whatever it was. These things come and go all the time. But if you can add more than you can take, then you are going to have sustainability. And like what Harrison was saying about Ringba, it wasn't about like hit it and quit it, like and start over and
It
start
was
over
the
and start
opposite of
over.
that. It
Yeah.
was the opposite. The first few years were like fucking putting money in a juicer.
Mm.
Fucking,
money
because we,
juice.
for the first, like, not even that, like, what do they call it? Like, when they have on the side of the road and they like put trees in it, it just like mulches it, like a,
A chipper?
that's what it was, a
Chipper.
wood chipper.
The wood
Yeah,
chipper.
that's a word my brain just will not remember. But yeah, we were, pouring a bunch of money into building this and going to shows like Affiliate Summit, and no one wanted to talk to us. It
Did you
took
guys ever
some
have a
time.
moment where you were like considering shutting it down?
Yeah, I don't remember the specifics, but I think there were times where we didn't consider it, but we just said like if we can't do X, Y, or Z, like we really got to think about things. So we never had the discussion, but we had like the like we got to do, if things aren't turning around soon, we might start sinking.
Hmm.
But never like specifically like that.
Did you
But
did you
no,
have other anything else going on the side? Like were
well,
there
we had some other businesses from the past and that had some revenue and that funded Ringba essentially, and that's awesome and allowed us to not we were able to self fund the business, right, which is awesome. But um you know even then you're like when we were going to trade shows and people were like, nah, no, it's very discouraging. I've said this a million times on the show, but it's like first year, not interested. Second year, wow, they're still in business, not interested. Third year, oh wow, that's actually kind of cool technology. Cool, I'll talk to them next year. And then on year four, people are like, wow, that Ringba thing's legit. Let me give them some, business. Let me try this system out. Let me demo it, whatever. So, you know,
And now
it's
you're
a long sales process when trust is involved, I guess you could say. Um,
now you're year 10, right? Is that right?
yeah, we're about to celebrate year 10. You're correct.
Yancy, we haven't talked about traffic arbitrage on the show for a while. Harrison, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I remember you saying many times how you feel like it's becoming more prevalent and we're seeing it more often. Yancy, the question for you is like, do you feel like it's still viable in 2025? And what strategies, in your opinion, actually work?
uh okay, well it's changing. It's changing dramatically, very recently. That domains that we were talking about earlier, those so the parking companies, like when Zero Park is called park, it was supposed to be like parking with zero click, right? But parking companies were basically a way to get to Google. They were initially a way for Google to get more search traffic. Well, it's not really search traffic, but when someone types in airlines.com, the visitor assumes that whoever owns that domain either owns an airline or is selling airlines or selling airline tickets, right? So of course it's selling airline tickets, but it's actually owned by a guy I know, right? And so that traffic would go to a page which would have Expedia and all these kind of PPC links on it. And the idea was that this direct navigation was a type in. It was basically people saying what they wanted to search and misspelling something along the way or just having a generic. And so it was basically showing intent. What happened with that over the years were people taking other kinds of traffic, arbitraging it through domains and getting to Google that way. And that's been huge money for a long time. But that had the same flaw as that domain at the beginning because the end consumer was a huge monopoly that wrote their own rules and your name was not in their business plan. So if they're your only demand point, you really needed them to stay as a good partner. And they would just randomly claw back money or whatever, do whatever they did. There was no, and they never picked up the phone and said why they clawed back the money. They just clawed back the money. So that recently, for years, everyone's like, oh, Google's going to shut down that, to shut down that. Well, the type in is still there, but the arbitrage feed that goes through domains is not anymore. They really put with very little notice did a hard stop on that. And it's really affected, some of these legacy businesses that were relying on arbitrage. The good arbitrage right now is going to RSOC feeds, which are much more stable and also still controlled by Google at the end of the day. So the arbitrage opportunity that I think is out there right now is getting the demand from those the actual type in sources, which are the like I have a domain portfolio, and it's the revenue is 25% of what it was a year and a half ago. So What is it? That's terrible, right? No, it's not terrible for me because I have a demand platform, right? So I take all that traffic and put it on advertisers like uh like affiliates or like brands. So I think there's really interesting arbitrage points there, and I think solving that is what's needed right now. Is like what to do with all these other with all this traffic that was going to Google, and Google suddenly decided that they were going to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. And everyone thought they would do it gradually, but they did it quite suddenly. And so I think that's a great opportunity right now um, for people to arbitrage on a platform like ours, which has last trading price. So as long as you can make consistent value of a traffic, you can get advertisers bidding against each other on it that aren't Google. So it's going to be it's Google is the greatest advertising network that's ever created, but they're a monopoly and behave as one.
No, they
So,
they are a monopoly. Do you think that's gonna? We should talk about that actually. Do you think that it's a possibility that some of those ad units of these behemoths is split up? I know it's been talked about.
Well,
Do you think that would
I think
affect
it's
your business?
happening. I wouldn't want to talk specifically. I would like to prepare for a conversation like that about what's going on in Europe, but it's definitely they don't have the U.S. Congress protecting them or the federal government protecting them the way that uh, the big monopolies have had in U.S. So yeah, in Google, there's Google is definitely basically getting called out on their monopoly in Europe for sure, and I'm sure that will cascade on into other countries.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And
Do
I
you
think it's
see?
good. I mean, I think it's good as long as it's. I mean, I don't think governments do things better than Google
No,
would, but yeah, I mean, there's Facebook. Google's been trying to compete with Facebook and vice versa for many years, and they're so big they can't even develop like Google cannot develop a social network and Facebook really Meta really cannot compete with search. Certain the
that's for
domination
sure.
of Google is insane. Like you cannot replace it's
That's for sure. That's definitely true.
Yeah, like Bing is just so small. Bing, Yahoo, all that is so small. In the Czech
Well, my
Republic,
my favorite my favorite analogy is like I've gone, I've talked to people or whatever, and I'm like, you say you don't you how many times have you said that you binged it?
never.
No, but I
I've
Google shit
I've
all the
probably
time. Like,
I've probably
fuck, dude,
chat
that's that.
GPT'd more than I've binged anything.
Yeah, and this is Kleenex, not a tissue, right?
Right,
So
right, right. Do you guys think we're like
literally that.
headed? Do you guys think we're headed for a world like Disney's or Pixar's Wall-E, where like maybe not so extreme, but instead of one company that just produces everything, like I don't know, multiple decades from now, there might be like just 5 or 10 behemoths. And I ask this
I feel
because
like it's going more in the Bruno direction, like Idiocracy
I saw
than Wall-E.
Amazon's doing like medical telehealth and pharmacy now, and I'm just like, man, what are they not going to
Nope,
be
I'm
doing?
out. I'm out. You know what I saw the other day, and I know this is like year old two technology, but like I went somewhere. Where was it? It was like something. It was related. Oh, it was Whole Foods, and you can like pay with your palm.
I do it. I do it.
I don't.
No, dude,
I
Yeah,
don't give
don't.
the man your palm.
I
I'm
do
out.
it.
I'm
Dude,
out.
everyone, you
I was
don't
like,
think people have
I
your
almost
palm?
switched from credit card to change. That's how
Uh,
uncomfortable I
I
was.
agree. It's very invasive, but I'll tell you this. When you do it, it's pretty fucking cool. I gotta
Well,
say.
people do a lot of things with their palms that I don't want to share at the grocery store checkout counter.
It's not, you don't have
No,
to touch it. You
correct
don't
me
have to
if I'm
touch it.
wrong.
You just hold it
You
over
just
this
it just
camera. Yeah, you click pay with palm and then you hold it over this little device. You don't have to touch it and then it says Prime code accepted and you walk out of the store. It's fucking sick. But my palm is now in the system and I'm screwed for sure. At some point I'll be paying
Exactly.
for it. Yeah. Um I was
I'm
gonna
stubborn. I think Harrison is too. I won't. I fly. I'm like a 2 million miler or something with Delta, and I still won't let them check me in with. I still make them look at my passport. I won't use the facial recognition. I know they're using it everywhere else in the airport, but I'm kind of stubborn. What do you think, Harrison? Do you find yourself trying to be stubborn with some of these?
Like, do
No,
you guys use
I
a
actually
fingerprint, like the fingerprint scanner to unlock your computer? Like, do you guys do that?
no, I don't.
Nope.
Interesting.
I
No,
absolutely
no,
do
and
not. I don't. I
no,
don't want
no,
my kids to do that. I do not want
no,
my
no.
But aren't your
fingerprint.
That
fingerprints already in the system, like from birth?
sure, but
Are
maybe.
they from birth? No, not from birth. I think there was that one night that I might have had to give them. No, I'm just kidding. Uh,
Well, no, I think you know what I would say is this, Josh. I try not to give anyone anything, but I have not opted out at the airport yet. But you know what? To all of you, the Affiliate Marketing Show podcast listeners, the next time I fly commercial, I will, and it's I think in like 2 weeks I will be. I will opt out of the photo recognition shit and make them check my ID manually, and I will report back how pissed the TSA person
So
is
you can do that at
for
TSA.
doing
You
so.
can say, "I don't want you taking my picture," and like,
Yeah, you can opt
oh,
out.
well, I was talking about Delta, but it's the same thing.
Oh, it's the
Like
same technology. I
I
think it's
fly
even
all
the
the
same
time.
company.
I don't do TSA pre-check. But yeah, no, I mean, I know it's being done anyway. I just don't feel like consenting to it and reconsent. It's just like the opt-in, right? Like, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago when we were doing these email submits or whatever it was, I'm like, oh, this can't last long. People will stop like when you think about the size of the traffic and these offers that you've seen for 15 or 20 years, they're still around. I'm like, how are they still around? Well, they keep opting in, opting out, opting in, and somehow that keeps the ball rolling. So I guess that's part of my instinct to not keep opting into the facial recognitions and the fingerprints and the things like that.
speaking of staying safe and protecting our identity, I know like bot traffic and ad fraud is obviously something that not only you at HasTraffic has to keep an eye on, but just everyone in the industry in general. So, specifically at HasTraffic, like how do you guys mitigate ad fraud and, kind of keep everything kosher per se?
So we are not an ad platform. We're a redirect platform. So it's a little more difficult for us, but there's like seven tech. I don't know. There's probably more than seven, but when we built it, there were seven, and that's when I was still in the specking out process. Seven different kind of quality filters and things like that, IP, user agent combos, things like that. The end of the day, as opposed to like a CPA network, which is just redirecting whatever, I do believe that the most effective one we have is the CPC auction. The auction itself, the price, if you sold oil and you filled up half the barrel with water, the price of that your brand of oil on the commodities exchange would be half of the price of a full barrel of oil, right? The same thing with gold or silver, for example. If it's sterling silver, it's 93%. If it's pure silver, it's 100%, so on and so forth. So like the bid price has a for high volume traffic sources and consistent traffic sources, the bid price has a lot more to say than you would think. So like unless we were selling our last click ever in the world, right? Like it's very much in our interest to make that click price not the high as it can be, but the one that's most closely related to the value of the commodity. So how do you add value? I add value by getting multiple people to do something to add some value on the other side of the auction. But you need a pure redirect, a pure commodity for that to happen because they can do all this work like Harrison would. The same thing with calls or whatever it is. I love like when we get a fraud report from Ringba or whatever, not even fraud report. We listen to the calls. You can actually hear the conversation. So that's something we don't have. That's something we use Ringba for. So when the redirect is sold on HasTraffic, on a call, the call is recorded on Ringba, and that's one of the things that, if not mitigating for us, it basically allows you to disqualify invalid traffic. But the same thing happens on the platform with redirects of web traffic or mobile traffic.
Yeah, with bot traffic and fraud, I feel like a lot of people associate certain geos or tiers as having more of that than others. But on the flip side, like, do you feel like there's any misconceptions when it comes to specific geos or tiered traffic, where, like, people might only want to work with tier one geos per se? Like, do you feel like there's a lot of missed opportunities with working? Like, does each tier or specific region like present an opportunity? And maybe some people don't feel that way based on certain tiers. Do you feel like there's some misconceptions with that?
I think there's, it's easy to say, "Oh, I just want to do tier one traffic," but there's great veins going here and there in other countries, right? So, like, gambling traffic is not very good in the United States because it's it's it's
Well, it's like,
regulated, it's
right, yeah.
manipulated, it's monopolized, or it's
Every gambling affiliate program that hits up OfferVault, I try and go to the site. It's like, sorry, can't come in. I'm like, oh shit. Okay,
you
cool.
can't come in.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, it's country to country. So, and that changes rapidly. When we first started as traffic, I was one of the, like, it used to be very much more segmented. There was like gambling, there was adult, and then mainstream, which was whatever that means. Like, but they didn't really cross over very much, and mobile didn't even cross over to desktop back then. So when we were I was the first one to say, "Hey, let's make a non-denominational traffic platform where we can add value to anything." Uh, when you're talking about tiers that are working, like early on, like US always kind of leads the way, and then something happens in the US, gets too competitive, the price is too high of the traffic, and people try to replicate the model in other places. So I wouldn't qualify or disqualify any of them. When people come up to the conference, to the booth at a conference, they'll be like, "Oh, do you have traffic here? You have traffic there?" And we've been around long enough that we can confidently answer the question. Supply increases with demand. Almost everybody who has traffic, whether it's email or thank you page or whatever it is, knows about our traffic, right? Knows about our platform. It's just a matter of whether the advertisers that are currently on the platform have a demand point that is strong enough to get them to stop what they're doing and send it there if the bid price is high enough, right? So that's how we backed us into we backed ourselves into that corner, kind of, but it's our strength as well. So, it has to be, if you do you have Brazil traffic? If you meet the commodity price, we have tons of it. It'll come. It'll come. So yeah, I mean, there's certainly problematic geos. Like, you don't want to be trading in Afghanistan or many countries that just don't work for certain verticals. But I think the question might be too broad to be answering specifically. I don't know, Harrison, what do you see? I mean, you're primarily.
Get ready, everyone. Trinidad and Tobago statement coming in hot right now. Go ahead,
I was
Harrison.
gonna. Well, no, it's funny. I was gonna ask you, Yancy, do you see any countries that are, like, I literally had a question. I was gonna say, countries that are hidden gems from really great profitable opportunities for affiliate marketers. And Josh is correct. Trinidad and Tobago is a hidden gem. If
My
you can
guy,
find
my guy
a
took over
best
the
here.
whole entire country. Yeah.
Yeah, all 500 of them. But
Yeah.
I had
yeah, I
600
mean,
leads, and then I had to retire.
interesting. I mean, okay, not hidden at all. There's 1.2 billion people in India, and that's like, but the average CPA CPM on our platform is like really, really, really low for India, right? But there's if you just take the people who make over 350,000, I think it was no, it's 250,000, quarter million. Take the quarter millionaires, exclude everybody else out. There's more of those people in India than there are all the people in America. So it's think about that from all right. So it's not a good geo. You run an offer, you get killed, you didn't get whatever. But the price of the traffic is so low. The first guy who really gets that filtering right and gets that targeting right and gets to those, that's a bigger market than there are people altogether in the United States. Just the
There's
really
more people
wealthy.
making $250,000 in India than the entire US population.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Wow.
something like it's either quarter million or 100,000. I forget
I
what.
won't, yeah, we won't
Look
hold you
it
to
up.
it, but something
Yeah.
close to that is
No,
still crazy.
it's
I
an
had no
insane
idea.
number, but yeah, it's there's more people that are extremely wealthy in India than there are people in the United States.
So I like to ask this question to people like yourself that have been in this industry, you know, long enough to have made a few mistakes and had a few opportunities to learn lessons that really shaped them. When you look back on, your time in this space, is there any like specific misstep you made along the way that you don't mind talking about that really kind of like taught you a huge amount that really led to your success today? It's hard to see it in the moment. You're just upset, right? You did it, but sometimes I feel like those experiences are invaluable in creating, the person you see, you know, founder of HasTraffic and, the person you became.
Um, I would love the chance for Harrison to answer that because I've plenty of mistakes. I just kind of want to sort through them.
Well,
Harrison, can
Harrison
you
hasn't made any mistakes. All right.
really?
Yeah.
Never.
Well, if you do, will you tell us about it? Yeah.
No, I think one of the biggest mistakes that I can just easily think about, and I spoke about it recently on the show, was um, well, I'll go with two things. One, one's a mistake, and one's kind of like a weakness that I've really spent time to overcome. But the first one, mistake wise, is essentially Adam and I used to have an issue where we couldn't say no to like new opportunities or ventures. And I know I just talked about this like 3 or 4 episodes ago, but it really is the freaking best example. Um, because I remember we were, Ringba was really starting to grow, and we had some other projects that were doing pretty well. And the same example, like literally, we had an opportunity to help import mahogany, and we called my dad, who did a deal. He's like a finance guy, but he did some deal with like mahogany before, and like when I was like 5 years old. I'm like, I remember my dad did a deal in mahogany. Let's call him. Let's call Steve. We call my dad, and we're like, here's the numbers. This is the deal, and he just goes, like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, no, like, stop. Like, do Ringba, dude. Like, run your business. Like, what are you guys doing? And we had this like, it was like my dad's pretty chill. He yelled at Adam and was
But
like,
what
guys,
led you what
don't be
led you to
stupid.
like consider it? Like
Someone,
it was just a good
dude,
financial opportunity that you guys were
someone
like,
hits
why
you up.
not?
Hey, do you any want? Dude, look, I have no clue. Maybe too much like YouTube shows. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Well,
Um,
I
not
mean,
my
you absolutely do the same thing, and probably that's. I'm really glad I let you lead with it because I wouldn't say that they're really terrible mistakes to get involved in other things, but um, I I uh I had an opportunity. This guy, someone I went to high school with, his father wanted to make meat pie, meat pies, right? Like empanadas, and they're great, and they're not really done well in America. And I had this, had this building in America. He wanted to do it in my building, which I bought for storage of cars and stuff. And so, all right, this looks like a really good opportunity. You make them, you freeze them, you send them to fairs, and it looks like a really high margin thing. And we needed a facility. So we looked around and I found a place. It was perfect in this beautiful area and put an offer by the building. And the Wednesday, my friend from high school calls me. My dad died last night, 2 days before the closing. Bought the property anyway, but like I think I have like all these kind of crazy diverse businesses, a restaurant, car dealership, like all these yeah. And I think if they're I wouldn't say that they're failures because they're not failures particularly, but yeah, this kind of losing focus. And I would also say, like, after about 10 years into HasTraffic, we hired this consultant, and he was consulting with me. He kept advising me to diverse and have this 5-year plan where you kind of give all your jobs away. And the problem with that was that I was in on the plan, and the people were in on the plan at the time, but their lives changed. So, it was like really had talented people that for whatever reason, like I was giving them jobs that I would have taken. The 5-year plan was that I was just kind of going to be really advisory, and one by one, these guys gave me their jobs back and left, and I ended up with a lot of jobs that that I was trying to move in the other direction. So they came back to me broken. So that's
Kind of
that.
sounds like maybe just as you got older, the realization of time and how much of like an important resource that is. I hear on the show all the time, like we all have the same 24 hours in a day, right? But how you choose to spend it, doing too much, spinning too many plates, then you're left with
Yeah.
very little to focus on what you want to do.
And sometimes I mean, you obviously punted the mahogany idea quickly, but sometimes, the only way out is through, and you can't just punt. It's just like you affect other people's lives when you do that as well. So I don't know.
Shout out Ryan Holiday, The Obstacle is the Way. Great book. Check it out. This question's more for our audience. Maybe something that you do in your life, they can kind of also add. The question is basically like, are there any tools that you use in your personal life or in your work life that you swear by and use frequently and can't imagine living without, whether it's like a chat GPT or some sort of CRM or any kind of other software that really kind of escalates your productivity during the workday and life at home?
Well, our platform is completely proprietary. So, I mean, well, there might be a plug-in here or there, and we certainly have things like Ringba. So, I think I've had when you're talking about technology, basically there's good and bad to that, but basically it's designed for what has traffic uh, people need. So it's like the good news is that it's designed for us. The bad news is if we need something else, we have to make it because it's rarely available for us that way. But I mean, if you can take that question from a different angle, like since I was 12 years old, here in my house. Oh yeah, so like it's more about like a tool for being prepared for battle and for doing it. But this is actually the version of it that I kind of still use today. But this is the one that like I think I was given when I was 12
Mm.
years old, and it's called The Greatest Secret in the World. It's Augmandino, and it's your basic, yeah. This one that's an old Zero Park
Oh, nice. Look at that.
card.
That's OG,
I
bro.
what? Yeah,
So that's
but
some
no, it's
OG
like
shit, bro.
it's all like kind of mental preparedness um it really is the tool that I go back to and I use and I've done many different things in my life for a living and it's always applied to it. I right before I got to elephant traffic, I was actually 40 years old and unemployed for 18 months, 16 months, I think it was. And like for 6 months, I was trying to get a job. We we moved to Prague. Like I took 8 bags, 2 kids and a wife, and tried a new continent. And I was just getting my brains knocked in back then. I did, I didn't do, I wasn't destitute or anything, but I basically didn't have any income. So, um,
Would you look
but
back at that
that was a tool
today?
that I used when I was unemployed. I used it when I was 12. I used it when I started the golf magazine in 1992 or 3 or whatever that was. And it's the and, it's, and those are the kind of tools that I think are more interesting, are the ones that you can apply to anything. But as opposed to that is our platform, which is basically completely bespoke to HasTraffic's. There's no has offers or tune or whatever that you could, hey, can I get an auction that does all sorts of different kinds of traffic and sells it to the highest bidder and does redirects and no, you just gotta, it's a very personal, use of a platform.
Last question I have for you, another loaded one. But if you had to start all over, is there anything that you would do differently?
Wow, I wish I thought about that one ahead of time.
Let's throw it to Harrison real quick. He's good on his feet, and then we'll come back to you. Harrison, what would you do differently if you had the opportunity to start over?
Mm. I think I would be more trusting in terms of delegation. That's something I would say. Um, and it's hard because there's just so many things.
Maybe you wouldn't wear
But
the
I
the
was
big gold chains to the trade shows.
Yeah.
probably would have bought less diamonds and jewelry when I was a youngin. Yes, I mean the
Yeah.
S&P would have been pretty nice, but yeah, stuff like that. Compounding would have been smarter, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I probably would have spent money differently, obviously, in hindsight. I think I like when I was much younger, like I started the golf magazine as I graduated high school, and that was like my third business by then. And back then I was really good at starting things, and I was really good at coming up and there was no internet, or the internet was very new at the time. So like my ideas were really good. I was really bad at getting other people to cooperate. Like I would be like, I just had this conversation with someone today, like, oh, I already told them that. And I said, oh my God, when I was 20, I would tell someone something and I thought I didn't have to tell it to them again, right? Like, so I think if I had to do it other again, I would have really learned what I learned in my 40s and my 20s, which was how to get other people motivated to work with you and how to tolerate different levels of competence with the people that you're working with. So like you can't be impatient with people because they make mistakes. The best you can do, what I say often is the best, I just like some variety. I just don't make the same mistake again. Like I don't expect you to be perfect from this point, but let's get some variety in the mistakes.
Well,
Sure.
for myself, from Josh from OfferVault, the industry legend Harrison Gevirtz, and our returning special guest, Yancy Naughton, founder of HasTraffic. Let's make that paper. Let's make that dough. This was the Affiliate Marketing Show. We will see you next time.